Parenting in the 21st century is ever evolving, and while you balance work, kids, and your sanity, it's easy to feel discouraged. Welcome to the Super Parent Syndrome with your host, Dr. Nick Fanning.
I have 5 children now. 4 girls, 1 boy, but 5 children. And yes, life does get busy. So here is a couple things. I have a few episodes. I have lots of content to start sharing with you guys, but here I had to get back to it. The funny thing is that as we were getting closer and closer to having our child, I went into full nesting mode, meaning I was trying to get everything wrapped up and everything in a nice, pretty, little package before our bundle of love come. And I didn't even know I was nesting. It took my assistant says like, "Why are you doing all this?" And I was thinking like, no, it just seems like a good time. Let's get my office completely remodeled and let's tear everything out and rebuild stuff. And my assistant was like, "Oh my goodness, you're nesting." And to which I had to bow my head in shame, almost regrettably, and say, yes, I am nesting. So it came down to, like, that's what my life was for the last few months, is juggling remodeling of my personal office, trying to keep my business afloat while doting on mom and making my children feel special, even though all the attention was mom and new baby. And during that time, I did break my microphone. I was transferring it from my desk to my book bag so I could podcast on the road. I dropped it and it stopped working. And I used this excuse of poor audio quality to not record anything. So I am recording from my cell phone. As you can hear, probably some road noise too. I'm on the road. I'm at my satellite clinic in the bustling metropolis of Arthur, Nebraska. And I am between clients right now. So we're going to start real simple here. Let's start with, very simply, the fact of this. Yeah, I was totally stalling right there. In the last month and a half, I've been averaging anywhere between 2 and 4 hours of sleep a night. Okay, and it usually goes like this. So when you have a newborn, they usually feed every 2 hours. Okay, so what will happen is baby will wake up. I will wake up with baby. I will change baby's diaper. My wife, I do better in the middle of the night for some reason. I just get up easier. I get my wife woken up. She comes over. We attach baby onto mom. Mom breastfeeds gloriously for 20 to 30 minutes. And so right then, you already lost like a half an hour to the 2 hour window, okay? And then after that becomes the game of trying to get this infant to bed. So often the kid is asleep, but you obviously don't want the baby to sleep on mom's nipple all night. Otherwise, mom, it feels like a chew toy and it does not go very well. So what happens is that I take baby off, I swaddle her up, and then we start the dance. You know the dance, where there is a little bit of bobbing, there's a little bit of swaying, there's a little bit of side to side, up and down, back and forth. There's the chest hug bounce. There's the sitting down. There's the head bouncing. I mean, you look at every position possible, and it will take on average between a solid 10 minutes, if the gods are with you, to 20 minutes to even 40 minutes, depending on if you burped properly. Because unfortunately, a baby does not have coordination to burp or fart on its own, or even really poop. And so there are loud problems with that. Now, we had a problem with latching, okay? And it came down to the fact is that, in our area, we just didn't have the right people to address this. And so we had to go to Denver to find the right latch type. So we helped with the gas. And so after we figured out with latching and getting that better, she wasn't sucking down as much air. And so the gas problem started going away and sleep improved, okay? And then we had to look at, okay, are we adding anything to the diet? And so we made some changes and sleeping improved. But at the same time, we're still giving up almost an hour out of our 2 hour routine from lack of sleep. And so here's the thing, that's a good situation. A bad situation is after about 20 minutes or something like that, I put her down into her bassinet, and because the positioning is just poor, she wakes up, or because she's not being shaken, or because she's not, the acid or burping or gas is just in a wrong position, then she freaks out and we start it all over again. So there are often times where it's, maybe a 20-minute nap I get in, okay? The problem being is this, and again, in the middle of the night, there are times where she just wants to party, okay? So we might go from 1:30 till 4, where she just like is wide awake and happy as can be. Sometimes it's 2 to 4, 2 to 4:30. That's pretty consistent. So here's the lesson in this. There's lots of lessons in this, but I want to tell you this, is that because of this lack of sleep, it has forced me to use this crisis to level up my life. I use the crisis to level up my life. I have been meditating 3 times a day. I have been eating cleaner than I ever have. I have been running at night to, one, get away out of stress, but also provide myself with a moment away. And because of all that, I'm losing weight. I'm getting healthier. I feel fresher. I feel less frustrated. And I actually am able to handle averaging such little sleep and yet still be performing at a high level. The weird thing is that this crisis has caused me to disrupt my biggest rut of my life of using my family as an excuse of putting myself last. It has caused me to help to see the power that I could have if I start taking care of myself physically. And there are times, we say like, oh, we're just so busy, or I have this new kid and we're so busy. You know what? We all have that level of busyness that we have to stop using as excuses and start using as a reason. And that's what I had to do, is I had to start saying like, I have plenty of reasons not to do the work, but I want results. I want to change. I want to make sure that this happens. And so I made the change. Now, it also helped that I have this ridiculously scary race coming this weekend in Seattle, where it's called the Spartan Beast, and I'm going to be running with one of my dear brothers, John Riccio. And it's apparently expected to be more than 12 miles. So it says 12 miles plus and 25 obstacles plus. And anytime you mess up on an obstacle or skip an obstacle, you have to do 30 burpees. So John and I are big guys. And so I've been training like crazy to be able to run 12 miles, but I have not done the training in order to do 800 burpees. So it was great. It was a great motivation to push myself, to keep my eye on the ball and constantly reminding this has happened. So what I'm saying, folks, is that you have to pick big goals. You have to choose accountability. So I had John in there. And then on top of that, you have to have a reason to be able to play clean. And so I used my stress and my stuff like that to, instead of use it as a reason, it pushed me to have the results I wanted. So there was a lot in this episode, and I can tell you this, in the next coming days, we're going to break this apart even more. Here's my final message with this, is that unless you have chosen to have clarity on where you're going, then there's no way you're going to figure that out. Meaning this, is that if your life was a GPS, you know where you are currently, but have you decided where you're going to go? Otherwise, you're just going to be going with, you have no idea where things are going to go. And so it could go up, it could go down. You're just kind of a victim of, what we call victim of destiny or a victim of fate versus creating your own. If that kind of message right there, that sentence jived with you and made sense to you, then by all means, you need to keep listening to these podcasts. If it all of a sudden that kind of triggered you and you'd be like, well, no, I don't agree with that. Fate's decided, or, I'm just here along for the ride and I'm content, or I'm just going to, go with whatever happens, then I can tell you this podcast is not for you. And I would encourage you to hit unsubscribe, because otherwise I'm going to keep triggering you like crazy, and you're not going to really take the message, and you're definitely not going to do the homework I do. So that is your first message, is I'm going to try to alienate you to find out the people that really jive with my message and the people that don't. I love all of you. I really do. And I think about you all the time. In fact, this last several weeks and months where I haven't been consistent on this podcast, I have literally thought of you every single day, because I had all these things I wanted to talk about, but I decided to use the microphone as an excuse. I decided to use the fact that I have poor audio quality through using my cell phone as an excuse. And then I used the reason that, hey, maybe I'm just too busy and I got to keep my business afloat instead of these labors of love afloat. So here's the thing, though. I'm back. I'm not using those things as excuses anymore, because guess what kind of results I want? I want to see impact, and I want to see change. And I want to see people really actually getting a lot of value out of this and then sharing it with other people. So That is your only obligation, folks. And yes, it is an obligation because you're getting this for free. You're getting my content. You're getting my time. You're getting my heart for free. Is that you share this up. Put it on your social media page. That'd be amazing. Give me a review on iTunes or Stitcher or Amazon Play, whatever platform you're listening on. Give me a review or a subscription because that shows me that people are engaged and listening. And most of all, if you have any content, any questions, anything that I can do for you, message me. I'm on some Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm all these places. You can find me. Just message me up. I am a giver, and I will give to you the people that are listening and engaged. Man, I will help. I will gladly talk with you. I will gladly interact with you. And honestly, let's just get done because I'd rather see people become better and better versions of themselves year after year. So that way we have people that aren't living the same year over and over again, but better versions of themselves every year and year out. So this is Dr. Nick Fanning. I hope you are along with me for this, basically this next chapter of the Super Parent Syndrome. So guess what? I'm signing off.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Super Parent Syndrome. Please be sure to visit peptalksforparents.com for more content and our free newsletter. And remember, you are not alone.